Algebra 1 Sensei Learning System, Lesson 14. If we are adding variables, they all have to be the same powers. All of these x's are of the same power, 1. And if all variables have the same power, 1, then their coefficients, which are in front of the x's, can be added. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it can be added. But the exponent that united them all does not change. If we're multiplying x's, there is no need for the exponents to be the same. So here I'm exposing all the exponents. So when we're multiplying x's, the exponent indicates how many times we have multiplied, whereas the coefficient, the number up front, shows us how many times we have added. So if we're adding, the coefficient only changes. If we're multiplying, the exponent changes. So here we're adding, therefore we can only add who share the same exponents. These are called like terms. So we can add the 5x and the 5x to the 6 and the x to the 6. Now note that the x to the 6 is actually a 1x to the 6. So these two can be combined to become 6x to the 6. And again, the power does not change. These two share x cubed, so they're the same terms. So the 7 and the x, which is 1x, can be combined to become 8x to the third power. Again, notice that the powers do not change. Here my like terms would be the x to the 6's. This is -5 of them, and this is 1 of them. So we're going to combine the -5 with the 1 here on the x to the 6. And when we combine these, we'll get a -4 x to the 6th power. Again, powers do not change when adding and subtracting. Like terms. And I forgot my 3 here. But we have like terms here, so the 7 and -1 can be added together, and that becomes a +6. And that's x to the 3rd. Okay, here, there are no other x squared terms, so this remains here. There are two x terms. There's a 4x and there's a single x. When we add the 4x to the single x, we'll get a total of 5 x's and plus 5. Okay, here there are no other x squared terms, so we write 7x squared. But there are two x terms, a -4x and a 1x. You combine the -4x and the 1x, we'll get -3x. And there are no other constant terms but -3, so that does not get combined with anything. Continue this process. This x squared is the only x squared term here, so we get to write that down. This is a -3x and this is a -1x. These can be combined to become -4x. And then -8, which is a constant, simply comes down. This is the only x cubed term, so it's not combined with any of the terms, so we just write -2x cubed. We have two x squared terms, a 4x squared and a 1x squared. Combining the 4x squared and the 1x squared, we get 5x squares. Again, the power does not change. The x is the only x term here, so we just bring that down. Okay, here, this is the only x to the 4th term right here, so we simply write 5x to the 4th. There are two x to the 3rd power terms. There's -3x to the 3rd power and -1x to the 3rd power. When these two are combined, we get -4x to the 3rd power. There are no other x squared powers, so this comes down. And notice that the powers are descending. We put all our highest powers up front and then go down in descending order. So again, we keep our higher powers up front and our lower powers in back. There are no other x cubed terms here, so we'll write this as 4x cubed. We have two x terms, a 5x and a negative 1x term. These two can be combined and become a positive 4x. The negative 7 constant term comes down. This is multiplication. 4 times 5 is 20, but we are multiplying an x times an x. So x multiplied with x means that we are putting powers together. That becomes x squared. Here, 4 times 5 is 20 again, but here we're putting our x squared term times our x term, which is a x to the first power. So when these two are combined, we get x to the third power. Here we're multiplying an 8 and a negative 2. Multiplying that gives us negative 16. Here we're multiplying an x cubed times an x term, which is the first power. So when the combination of this multiplication gives us x to the fourth power. Here we're multiplying a negative 5 times a negative 1. Let me write it out so you can see it. The negative 5 times negative 1 gives a positive 5. The x squared times the x squared here combines and gives us x to the fourth power. So 5x to the fourth power.